Now I've learned to let go of my expectations of others and the world. And I go to the world with a sense of abundance. I was going to the world for love, care, nurture, and connection. And now I love, care, and nurture myself. I'm connected to myself, and I'm connected to my higher power. Hi, I'm Barb Nangle. I want to welcome you to my podcast, Fragmented to Whole Life Lessons from 12-Step Recovery, where I help people heal their emotional, psychological, and spiritual wounds and make deep, lasting changes in their lives. I'm the founder and CEO of Higher Power Coaching and Consulting, LLC, where I coach people on how to develop healthy boundaries. On this podcast, I share my experience, strength, and hope from recovery. I don't support or endorse any particular 12-step recovery fellowship, and I don't claim to speak for any particular 12-step fellowship. I also don't believe that 12-step recovery is the only way to recover. You might need additional help. My hope is that you'll find my words concretely helpful in improving your life, whether you're in recovery or not. This is episode 131. Let go of your expectations of others and meet your own needs. The title of this podcast is a phrase I learned in recovery, and it has become so important to me. As a recovered codependent, it's been just what I've needed. Even though I was a rescuer and a fixer, always trying to help other people, and I focused on other people, what I learned from the process of recovery was that deep down inside, what I wanted was someone to rescue me. The way I think of it is this. It's like I was reaching back into the past, or trying to reach back into the past to rescue myself as I was bending over backward to help other people. It's hard to explain, but if you're anything like I was before recovery, you probably know what I'm talking about. Here's the thing though. I was waiting for someone to rescue me, and it turns out that that person was me. I've learned to show up and take care of myself, to give myself the things I was looking for from other people. I went outside myself to the world, which is what codependents do. We're focused outside ourselves, frequently on other humans, but definitely outside of ourselves. I went to the world to meet my needs, and the thing is, the world was not created to meet my needs. In fact, let me explain that statement for a moment. When I started in recovery, a friend who was in recovery for a really long time said to me, "Barb, the world was not created to meet your needs." I remember being absolutely baffled by that statement. I was so baffled that I wrote it on a sticky note and left it on my coffee table for like a year because I looked at it all the time and just didn't understand what it meant. Eventually, it sunk in. What he was telling me was that the world wasn't created for Barb. So if I'm not getting what I need from the world, that's on me. It's not on the world. What I would do is go to the world to try to get my needs met. For example, I wanted to be loved and liked. I wanted connection. I wanted caring. And I came at the world to get those things in a sort of grasping way. That is, I went to the world with a sense of lack. All my people-pleasing, rescuing, fixing, and saving behavior was about getting people to like me. I didn't know that at the time, of course. I thought I was nice. I was trying to get the things I needed, almost demanding them of the world. And what I was doing was actually pushing those things away. I didn't know any of this at the time. I was also going to the world with a sense of lack in that I was completely empty. I gave so much to other people that I was absolutely fucking drained. So I had nothing to give. That means I went to the world with a sense of lack in two ways. One, I was grasping for things I needed, like gimme, gimme, gimme. And two, I was empty. Now I've learned to let go of my expectations of others and the world. And I go to the world with a sense of abundance. And what I mean by that is a couple of different things. First, I was going to the world for love, care, nurture, and connection. And now I love, care, and nurture myself. I'm connected to myself, and I'm connected to my higher power. So I don't need other people's love in the way that I used to. Of course, I want other people's love, but I'm not grasping for it the way that I was before. Now that I actually like myself and love myself, that means if you like me, it's a huge bonus, but it's not a requirement the way that it used to be. So that's one way I go to the world with a sense of abundance. And the other is that I give myself what I need. I take really good care of myself. I talk nicely to myself. I treat myself well. I have really healthy boundaries and I uphold them. I don't let people walk all over me. I don't let resentments build up. I take good care of my physical body. In other words, I do the things mature adults do to take care of themselves. So I go to the world with a sense of abundance because I filled my own cup. I'm no longer drained. I'm no longer seeking to get love from the world. I'm going to the world to give love because I have it to give. I have it to give because I love myself and I treat myself in loving ways, and I'm connected to my higher power, which is love. I choose to call my higher power God, and God is the source of all love. So I'm connected to that. I can tap into that at any time. So I don't go to the world to get anymore. So it's much easier for me to let go of my expectations of others and meet my own needs. Now, I'm going to give you an example of how this letting go of expectations of others and meeting my own needs has played out. But I also want to tell you how I've made use of this saying in my life. I actually write it in my journal. And what I do is I'll flip ahead about 5 or 6 pages and I'll write it across the top of the page so that when I get to that page in my journal, there's no way I can miss it. And when I see it, I think to myself, was there a situation today where I needed to let go of my expectations of others and meet my own needs? And here's a really cool thing. I've learned I can actually let go of expectations after the fact, and it matters. Now, it's gotten much less frequent over the years that the answer is yes when I ask that, but it's still really helpful to me to ask that on a regular basis. Now, here's a concrete example of what I'm talking about. One day, I put on one of my absolute favorite blouses, and my sweetheart was here. Now, he is a very complimentary person, and he's a retired commercial photographer, so he's very visual, and he constantly compliments me. He notices things like makeup, earrings, nails, clothes, the colors I'm wearing. So I've gotten pretty used to him giving me compliments. Well, this particular day, I went downstairs, and when he saw me, he didn't say anything about my fabulous blouse. He wasn't having a very good morning and wasn't feeling like himself. And as soon as I realized, oh, I was expecting him to compliment me, it was like, okay, good to know. And I know that in the past, I would have been pissed off at my partner. And of course, I never would have said anything because I didn't do direct communication back then. And I would have made him pay for that, at least emotionally. Now, I didn't know I was doing any of that at that time, but one of the wonderful gifts of recovery is that I'm able to look back at my behavior before recovery and say, here's what I was doing, here's what I was thinking, and here's what my motives were. And this is exactly one of those situations. So on this day with my fabulous blouse on, I thought to myself, okay, I had an expectation that he was going to compliment me. I'm going to let go of that expectation and meet my own needs. So what I did was go upstairs and stand in front of the full-length mirror and tell myself, you look really nice today, Barb. So, my friend, I encourage you to let go of your expectations of others and meet your own needs. That's it for today. If you found this podcast helpful, and I'm guessing you did or you wouldn't still be listening, please consider a donation to ensure it continues. You can choose the level of support that feels right to you at patreon.com/higherpowercoaching. If you're not familiar with Patreon, it's a platform created by creators for creators that allows them to be supported and rewarded for their work by their fans and followers. Please like and subscribe to my podcast on your favorite podcast outlet. You could also consider leaving review of my podcast on Apple Podcasts. I'd really appreciate it, and it helps others to find it. If someone came to mind when you listen to this particular episode, please share it with them. And my favorite place to hang out on social media is Instagram. I'm at Higher Power Coaching. Please DM me there. I'd love to hear what you got from this episode. I run group and private coaching programs on creating healthy boundaries. If that sounds like something that would interest you, then head on over to barbchat.net, where you can get on my calendar for a free 30-minute Better Boundaries consultation. My ideal client is someone who is ripe for change. If that's you, I'd love to work with you. My goal with all my work is to help you make lasting changes in your life the way I've made deep, lasting changes in my life. Remember, it's never too late to recover. No one is beyond hope, and healing is